I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next to ratify the agenda, is there any changes to the agenda?
Chairman, I would like to add on COVID pay, and I would also like to add on the Richardson Fire Department, please.
Okay, anything else?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, a motion approved by Commissioner Messer. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Marsh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. And we'll go for the minutes for March 2nd, a regular meeting. Are there's any changes to that?
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman. Now I can't find it, but we talked about that Richardson property and the demolition. I think the minutes reflect kind of what we did, but other than the fact that we worked and got or are working towards a brownfield grant to take care of the asbestos and that. I don't know if we need to have the minutes reflect that or not.
We could add those in today's, then, or probably should add that on there.
Whatever works, I just want to make sure we're,
Okay. Yep.
I don't know how detailed we have to be.
Okay.
Also on the minutes, if we could just maybe put which, on the meetings, just put a subject of what they were about, on which ones. We just have minutes and then we called for approval second on some of the minutes, and there's really not a subject matter on every one of them on the special meetings.
We got the dates, though, that they were doing, then you wanted to add some more than that, or,
Just the subject matter of what the meeting was about. Yes, please.
okay. Anything else? Not a look for a motion to approve the March 2nd, 2021 minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Messer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arthod. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next is for the special meeting we had on March 16, 2021. Is there any changes to that? Other than I already talked to Ms. Richards about changing the first paragraph instead of saying regular meeting to have special meeting on that. Is there any other thing we should change, or? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the March 16, 2021 special meeting.
I'll move.
A motion by Commissioner Marsh. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Messer. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Next is special meeting of March 22nd. Do you have any changes for that one? Not to look for a motion to approve the March 2nd, 22nd, 2021 special meeting.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Arthod. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Marsh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. And then we have the third special meeting of March 25th, 2021. Is there any corrections in that?
The fact that it's just regular meeting.
The special meeting will change that. And then the last page has Chair Dean instead of Chair Franchuk could change that. Any other changes in that? Now to look for a motion to approve March 25th, 2021 special meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Messer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Arthod. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Next, we've got accounts payable. Is there any questions on the accounts payable? Any questions on the accounts payable? Now I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve as presented.
Okay, with the amendment or supplement, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I have a motion by Commissioner Messer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Zander. Do a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Messer? Yes.
Question?
Do you have a question?
This, Karen, I'm sorry. Is this the supplement or?
That's the overall like cover page that has like the totals and everything, and then this has the breakdown.
This?
That was a change made. She had put it it had been put in the wrong department, and so she fixed it and put it over there.
This is the corrected?
That is the corrected,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander, Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Accounts payable approved. Next, we'll go to the 905 item is Sheriff Cooley.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. This is the March highlights for the Stark County Sheriff's Department. We had 218 traffic stops in the month of March. This is up from 140 last year. 66 of those stops from the city of Dickinson, 152 of those stops from the county and neighboring small towns. 244 PR stops. This is up from 169 last year. 5 bar checks, 79 school zone related activities, had 12 theft related calls for service. We responded to 13 accidents, 3 of those were injuries and 1 was a fatality that was on the interstate just outside of Richardson. We had 82 total arrests for the month of March. One of the incidents that we responded to in March was a livestock complaint just north of Leffer. I know the paper noted that there was 25 dead calves that were located. It was actually 37. 37 calves and 5 pigs. We were able to track that owner down. They are in Texas, and we are dealing with that at this time. We had multiple fire calls. Thanks to Al and his guys for helping out with those. We're still continuing to work on the Belfield agreement. This last Saturday, we had an Easter egg hunt in cooperation with Angel 37. That was Rocky Butte Park here in Dickinson. I can't even describe the turnout. It was unbelievable. We were not prepared for that many kids, but they still had a good time. We had our annual Richardson school volleyball and dodgeball game, and they kicked our butts again. And then the auction, we had in early March, we made approximately $6,000 on the sales of firearms for our portion of the action. You guys have any questions?
So on those cattle that you guys found? You're all in one area or what, one spot?
Yes.
Somebody took them there and,
Well, it was a rental property right off of the Enchanted Highway there, and a pretty small area, and you could tell that they were not well cared for. The property was not equipped to do what they were trying to do. So
Were they newly brought in, or had they been there a while?
there were we tracked several of them down from Texas, and then the the remainder were from South Dakota. All dairy calves.
Anything more on the vandalism to the squad vehicle?
Yes, we do have a suspect.
That's good. Anything else?
On the cattle, where the state vet, are they doing checks on that? Because I'm sure there wasn't state to state health
We
on them.
did contact the state vet. We actually, Lieutenant Mayor and I went out with Doc Brumman from West Dakota and did a little survey, and she did her thing, and that's what the state vet, they requested her to go out. So she's working with the state vet at this time.
Any other questions for the sheriff?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next, we'll have Road Superintendent Al Heiser.
Good morning, everyone. Far as what the road department's up to, we're actually started yesterday morning, and today we're getting recycled asphalt off the Dickinson Airport. And we're taking it down and putting it on 44th Street, just south of the airport. Last summer, we took a lot of it on 116th and headed south. So now I want to try and hopefully I'll have enough to make that loop from the diesel refinery down south to 44th and make that connection. And we'll get it ground in probably next week. We've got a little different operation. Last time we put it down and ground it in, I don't think we had enough binder with the material. It's wanting to come apart. So we're gonna actually go into one of our gravel pits that has a little bit stickier gravel and blend a little so it kind of binds together. Because the material on the road is kind of sandy. The recycle really doesn't have a lot of binder in it to make it stick. So we're gonna try that, and hopefully we can get that to hang together. We got just one blade out, blading roads. I'd kind of like to plead with the public to have patience during this dry spell, because there's not, we can't haul water in every road. What we're trying to concentrate on is where we have a really heavy, high traveled roads in and around Dickinson. And if there are some other spots, we have to haul water. A lot of our favorite water holes we've been hauling out for years are really down, so I'll have to be really cautious not to deplete some of the water source for the cattle. So we've been getting water from the city of Dickinson off the reclaimed water line, just on the north side of the diesel refinery. They actually put a hydrant up for us, so we're getting water from there in a few creeks that have a pretty good flow. As long as the creek is flowing, that water is going to be on, but once it stops flowing, that's when we're going to impede with the landowner's water. Another thing, I don't want to beat the bush about the fire, but I'm wondering with the road crew, a lot of times we get called out in the middle of the night, and I mean, we go. This last week, we get time and a half over 40, but this last week, fortunate with the holiday pay, we were out on 4 different fires this past week, and so, you got to work 40 to get any overtimes. I think something, not for myself, if I'm available, I always go to the fires, but for the guys that were rousting out of bed at midnight last week, we got them out at midnight. We fought a fire out south of town here, out for 3.5 hours. We filled the water trucks back up because, the fire trucks, I don't know if you've ever been around them, these real fire guys, they're like a bee in a hive buzzing around. So, I mean, they need water. We're there. They can only bring so much water in. So, like I said, I don't know if there's something for a call-out pay or so at least they get time and a half. Last week was a kind of an odd deal with the holiday pay, so I don't open for any suggestions or something for the guys who.
Do you have a suggestion?
Oh, I think they should at least get time and a half. I mean, last week was, like I said, kind of a different normal because of the holiday pay. Minimum to come out or something. It's not really in our job description, but on the other hand, too, it's all about public safety. I mean, I've run pretty hard when there's a fire, and I know they all appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And so.
Well, what would be more acceptable, you think, to your guys' comp time or
a minimum or something? I'm just looking out for something because it's kind of amazing when you rouse these guys in the middle of the night how startled they are after in a deep sleep and you call them, and they'll usually answer the phone. And that's worth something too. Whether it's so many hours minimum or time and a half or something. And maybe if you guys decide nothing, that's just the way it is. But I think it's worth an extra effort to get out because, you know, these fires, they travel fast. We had one here on the one we went out on midnight, and next thing you know, it was a mile down the road. I mean, through the fields. So time is the essence to get water. And usually when we're getting there, they're looking for water.
Yep.
So,
And we've paid out before. I guess we've paid out to employees before that maybe it was on your job description, but we have compensated employees before for
and
above and beyond. So I mean, I am for.
maybe it's something to think about. I don't know if maybe, I'm open for suggestions or just something.
Absolutely, because I mean, they get up at midnight, they're out there, and then they gotta go back to work and do a full day's work
Right.
shift after that. It's just like, and you know, they're an amazing bunch of guys out there.
Chairman, I know in our department, we have call-in pay. So if you just set up the same thing, I guess, that we have for the road department, that would be
So call-in pay is,
time and a half. So whenever you get called in, say you had vacation days that week, I mean, you came in, you wouldn't get the extra because you don't work 40 hours. But if you actually get called in, you do get time and a half regardless. So.
Mr. Sanders, you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that maybe we just give this idea to our HR and the personnel commissioner to come up with a workable plan for the hours worked as described by Mr. Heiser, and bring back a recommendation for our next meeting.
Okay.
I guess.
I guess I just think that we could also vote on it.
Well, I think everybody's in agreement. We want to do something.
I think Sheriff Lee had an idea. Let's mirror what them guys are doing, and let's just run with it.
By next month, we could have
Well,
how many fires?
right.
And it works for you, Sheriff Lee? Okay, well, we
It's
have a
good.
model that works.
It's consistent for the county.
Exactly. Okay.
So
I'll make 'em-
do I hear a motion? then?
I make a motion that we have the road department do the call-in pay time and a half mirrored by the sheriff's department.
I'd like to second that.
A motion is second by Commissioner Arthod, second by Commissioner Messer. Any other discussion? Marsh, I'm sorry.
I know we look alike.
Yeah. We're like twins.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, do a roll call vote. Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
So I do have a question, though. This is gonna go back to when the fire started and they first started going out?
As of now, I believe.
Just
Yeah,
everything
I
now?
think everything will come into this next pay period.
Yeah, this,
Okay, just as long as they get compensated for
Sure.
all these fires last week.
it would cover, the pay period would cover it, because.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you for that. And there's only one other item I have is we need to make a motion. We had that RFPs for the construction engineering on the box culvert south of Taylor. We went through all the RFP proposals, we scored them. It was really interesting because there was only 0.25% of a point from one engineer to the next, so we've got some pretty good engineers working for us. So I guess what we need to do is I need a motion made to recommend KLJ as the an engineer of record for the Taylor project.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Marsh, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arthon. Any other discussion? Do you need a motion to sign the letter to the DOT too, or you want to set?
Yes, I would sign that too. And there's that packet we got to put together, and we'll need the minutes done as soon as we can to get it sent in. So they can't really proceed on this until we get the minutes done. Even if they're not the approved minutes, I talked to the DOT this morning, as long as we have the minutes, we can send them to them. They don't have to be approved, so.
Okay,
Chairman, should we just add that to the motion?
yes.
Yes. I would add that to the motion.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a month down the line, so we need to get it in to keep the ball rolling on the project.
Other discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go Highland Engineering or anything?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Mike Ness with Highlands Engineering. If you have my report this week, couple design engineering projects we're working on. Bridge replacement 45-147-1. This project is located about 8 miles north of Richardson, about 4 miles east of North Dakota 8, up by Butterfields. We're in the design process of that. We almost have we have the hydraulics completed. Now we're working on some details on the structural and piling layout for that job. Our plan is to advertise for bids starting the end of April, beginning of May, and bid opening at the June 1st commission meeting, with completion by the end of the year. The other design project, preliminary work we're doing with the Lehigh Drive Bridge replacement, just a couple miles southeast of town here. It's an existing pony truss bridge. It's about 72 foot long by 18. And this month we submitted a cost estimate to the DOT, and we're waiting for their determination whether this bridge is eligible for federal highway bridge funds. So if it's eligible, we'll probably get started on that right away. If not, we'll have to have a discussion on how we proceed with this bridge. So construction engineering projects, we had a pre-construction meeting on 32nd Street Southwest. This project is just northwest of town, about 6 miles. Levichuk Construction is going to start by the end of this next week or early next week. So they're just working out some details on utilities, and Al's going to have the fencing moved. So the other project, construction, 30th Street Southwest, that's on 6 Mile Road, 6 miles north of Belfield from Highway 85 west, about 1.3 miles. Levichuk Construction will probably start that project as well right after this 32nd Street. So a couple things going on, getting going. So
How long do you think that 32nd Street project's gonna take?
I wouldn't think it should take more than a week and a half to 2 weeks for the dirt work. Depends how many scrapers. I guess I didn't ask how many scrapers he's bringing, but
Yeah, it isn't gonna take him very long. Actually, this morning we went out, we're removing the fence line. We actually took a water truck out and pre-soaked the fence line, as he's rolling up the wire so he doesn't create any sparks to start a fire. So we're kinda on alert about,
and the landowners rolling up the wire?
we're taking it down, yeah.
Mike, quick question for you. The Lehigh Bridge replacement, what do you think the odds are of that being a historical project? Pretty good? Or?
The federal highway funding.
Yeah.
Well, they base it off of traffic and there isn't a lot. So
Right.
the estimate we sent in is about $1 million. So that's a fairly high cost of a bridge that doesn't service a lot of people. So cross our fingers.
Okay.
Commissioner Master, we did actually a traffic count out. There's about 45 cars a day that come and go over that bridge.
What's the threshold to engage or trigger a cost share?
That's hard to say.
Okay.
The only problem there is if the railroad was across the tracks, it had that crossing by the trap club or the gun range there, and the bridge was out, there's one person that lives back there.
Right.
And that's, I think, what the state is trying to determine, so. Without federal funding on that bridge there, I don't think it's feasible for the county to spend $1 million on that bridge. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Northern Plains, Jeremy, you ready? You can go ahead. A little early, but.
Excuse me. Morning, Commissioners. A few updates for you, starting with the construction project on 35th Street and 107th. The project was bid in early March. Central Specialties was a low bidder, and a couple weeks ago, they actually, with county forces, completed the aggregate base phase of that project. They still have touch-up to do prior to paving, of course, but that all happened in about, I think, 4 days. The county hauled the material in and laid it, so we did recommend pay estimate of about $120,000, but that project is off and running, so that's a good start to the season. As far as design projects, we have 2 federal aid bid opening bridge projects. 30th Street, that is shared with Dunn County, and that project was moved to a June bid opening. And also the bridge bundling project on 127th and 131st, that was moved to the June bid opening. It's the same cost share as far as the reimbursement, but they did get both moved to the June timeframe for a bid opening. The newest project we're working on is another bridge bundling south of Richardson on 83rd and 86th Avenue. It's down by one of the bridges down by Messer and Eric Kuntz. The other is by Gebhardt's property. Those will be bid as one project. We're intending on November bid opening through the DOT for 2022 construction. So we're just kind of get starting on that. As part of the federal aid process, we need to complete what they call a Class 1 and a Class 3 archaeological survey, and also an aquatic resource survey, which is similar to a wetland survey. We're using Beaver Creek Archaeology to do both of those. Their quote came in at $8,800, which is pretty reasonable for 2 bridges, 2 reports, 2 structures. So I guess we would recommend approval for that. It's in the range or less than a lot of other consultants, so we would ask for approval to engage with Beaver Creek Archaeology to complete those surveys. Any questions on that?
Anybody have any
Particular?
questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to engage with Beaver Creek Archaeology.
I would go with your recommendation to
Okay.
go with them.
I'll second that.
Okay,
So you're gonna do a Beaver Creek study on the Beaver Creek?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And let's hope they don't find anything, regardless of what it's named.
okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Mars, second by Commissioner Masser. Any other discussion? Not, a roll call vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I mean, I'm sorry about it. So I should say all in favor, all, and then, those any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Running a little earlier, so we do planning and zoning. Steve, you want to step on? I got it. The conditional, I got them, yep.
Steve.
Good morning, Commissioner. Steve Josephson, County Planner. The County Planning and Zoning Commission held its meeting last Thursday, and there was one item one public hearing item, and it was a conditional use permit from KLX Energy Services. They were requesting a conditional use permit for the storage of explosives. They have a wireline service. If you look at the map over there, they own two buildings, one in the northeast corner and the other one on the northwest side. The northeast corner is the one that they plan to store the explosives associated with the wireline service. We had received some testimony from adjacent property owners. They had some concerns about the types of explosives and the amount of explosives stored there. What the applicant said was their license with ATF limits the type and the amount to 50 pounds, and they went through a presentation on how they store it. Staff recommended approval subject to conditions. The Planning and Zoning Commission made their own recommendations subject to conditions, and then they added a condition that said, in accordance with the permit issued by the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the amount of explosives shall be limited to 50 pounds. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Is there any questions for Mr. Josephson?
Mr. Josephson, we just did another one of these in that same subdivision a month ago, didn't we, or 2 months ago?
That's correct. And that's
Just directly
further
south, directly
yes.
south of this one, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve this conditional use permit number 02020 or 21, I should say. Conditional use permit 02-21.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hartha. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Messer.
And that would be with the amended conditions.
With amended, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? This time we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Hartha.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll notify the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Freilich, you ready?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Freilich, Stark Billings County Extension Agent with NDSU. What I got here and what I gave you is a copy of the January, February, and March, how we're booking out and utilizing the Dakota room, which is the big meeting room in the new building. And just so you can see, as you flip through the 3 months, things have picked up and more use of the room. The room is getting utilized. And we did have our first phone call from outside of the entities that are inside the building about using it, and I had to, because I had no direction yet from you folks as to how that should proceed. I just told them, I says, right now I can't do anything. So, but the room is being utilized, and it's a nice room. It is a very nice room for meetings.
Mr. Freilich, I think it would be a good gesture, being a taxpayer building, that when that room is available, that we do allow outside entities or taxpayers to use it for specific meetings. I just don't know where we draw the line and where we don't on that.
Mr. Zander, you have-
Yes, thank you. As you well know, Kurt, during the process, planning and so forth, that was a major consideration in the purpose of that room being built, along with the features that were added to it And if, I gather you would like to see us make a motion to authorize the public to reserve time and space in that facility or in that particular room, is that correct?
Yeah, I'd like to have some, because the first question that individual, and I forget now the name of the person that did, they said, I hear you have a room that you rent out for meetings. As soon as they said room or rent, I go, ooh, we have not established anything that way yet. So, and it's, you know, I said, that has not been established. I don't know what to tell you at this point in time.
Kurt, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was gonna be my question, is if there's a rent charge on it, because you have to go have one of your people go in and clean it up when they're done, regardless if it's just water bottles or, you know, keep it vacuumed and everything else, so that was gonna be my question, is if there's gonna be a fee.
Well, my question was gonna be the Veterans Memorial Pavilion, I think the Park District controls that. I don't know if there's a rent fee to use it. I think there's just a cleanup provision. You get to use the building, but there's a fee to clean it up. I'm not totally exact on that.
And that room splits into 2 rooms, correct?
Yes, it does have the ability. We have not tried it yet.
Mr.
Commissioner
Joseph?
Messer, I've rented, my son had his wedding reception in that room, and yes, they do charge a fee.
Okay.
They do charge a fee for it. They will waive it, you know, we had something for National Flood Insurance Program, so if it's a program like that, they'll waive the fee, but if it's just a private party,
You know what the fee was off the top of your head?
no, sorry, I don't
Okay.
remember.
Any other questions, or just Mr. Zander?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think we should, to follow the point being made by Commissioner Marsh, is that we should probably have a minimum maintenance
Or maybe just a deposit?
to
Settle.
to offset those expenses. And but on the other hand, I think we should make it available, affordable availability to the general public, as it is a public building, and we should try our best to accommodate the user groups. Now, if that doesn't work, we can always come back and make changes, but if you're, and I think you are looking for a motion, and so I would make a motion to authorize, and you're the scheduler, correct?
Yeah, we maintain, this is what it looks like.
Right.
We have just a book in our office. And then when somebody wants to utilize the room and they say, hey, can we use it on April 20th? The gals look, they flip to that date. It's already booked from 8 till 12. And if the other party said, well, we wanted it at 9, well, sorry, there's already somebody in there.
So, before I make my motion then, is this space available after normal work hours?
That, right,
And weekends and so forth?
right now, that is, we have some 4-H clubs that are using it after hours. And what we're doing to accommodate that is one of our staff is going in and getting that facility opened. And then that person locks it up when they leave. We're waiting for ETS, thank you, Mike. ETS to get us on a scheduler system where we can then, open that door at this time and then it closes at this time. But that has not transpired yet.
That'd be a good idea.
And you're, who do you use for your backup person? Because maintenance staff needs to be part of this scheduling so that they're available and or know what's going on, correct?
Yeah, yep. Andy comes in probably once a week or maybe twice a week, takes a look at the book, see what's in there so that if, if it needs to be cleaned prior to the next group, he does a tremendous job.
So anyhow, I would make a motion to allow the public use of the Dakota room to include a deposit or maintenance fee of $30, $40, something like that.
Maybe check with
Yeah,
the Veterans Pavilion and see what they charge or how they work theirs, but yeah, I think $50 would be a good maintenance fee, and if it's
Yeah,
with they don't.
so I'd incorporate that $50 in my
Excuse me,
motion.
on that, or I guess I can go for discussion.
Okay, I'll
I have a
second
motion.
Ken's- I'll second
Motion
Ken's
by
motion.
Commissioner Zander, second by Commissioner Marsh. Any other discussion?
What's $50 gonna pay if there's damage?
That's true.
What is, I mean, $50 won't even,
I'm sure we'd have a contact person number we can contact for that, would think.
but won't we want the money in hand and return it, then a contact person to say there was $300 damage and then try to get it? I mean, I am for this building being used for the public. I mean, there's definitely been enough calls that this building was built and isn't utilized by the public. I'm totally for that. But a $30 or $50 fee for deposit is too low. That doesn't cover anything.
I would just suggest we give Kurt some discretion, do some research, what's the norm, what's the other uses, and just follow your what you find out so that we're not micromanaging that scenario.
Do we have a form for groups to sign where they are, and maybe we can visit with Amanda when she has time to address that issue that Commissioner Arthod has mentioned as far as damage to the structure?
Right now, we have nothing because
Yeah,
the first call came this past week, so.
Yeah, and I understand. I'm just suggesting that
Yep.
that's the next step that we should probably take.
Commissioner Marsh?
Thank you. Another thing too, if you're splitting the room in half, you might need two different dollars on that also, or just keep it the same fee, I guess. It doesn't make a difference. But I guess I would probably,
We can do some research. I know of some other
that would be good.
entities that do that and see what they've got, and I can get it back out to you folks.
Rescind our motion and table this, they'll do more research then, or?
Like 4-H and all of that, that's not charged. I mean, because that's all goes
That's
through
under
you.
us.
And
That's
goes
under
through you.
us.
Okay.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion and
I'll withdraw my second.
Are you getting the direction you want?
Yeah, I think so. I can do some research and find some stuff, and then also visit with the state's attorney and to address these various issues and come up with something and then bring it back at the next commission meeting and allow you folks to pick it apart and amend it and red ink it, and we go forward.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I think in the meantime, if you get a call, somebody wanting to reserve the space for May or June, I would urge you to just go ahead and use your discretion. And if it's vacant, I would suggest you go ahead and book it.
Okay.
Mr. Heiser, do you have a comment?
I did, the county's actually rented the teen center, and we've rented the veteran pavilion, so I think they probably got a good policy in place. I know it worked for us. I think there was a deposit. We had to make it clean when it was done. If not, they charge us for it, so I mean, they're pretty much kind of like facilities, so that would be a good place to look. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look for a motion then to table this to our next meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Arthur, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Messer, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we'll go Skull Construction, Rod.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Rodney Cockrum, Skull Construction. It's good to know the building's being sought after. That's pretty awesome, huh? So, a couple of things to go over, and we'll need a couple of motions. So, I did hand out a late sheet, which is this one right here. This one is from JLG Architects, kind of going back through where the project ended up for the final. This is on the design contingency from JLG, which started out at $501,348.45. What is left, the remaining design contingency is $317,910.05. Which means they did their job and we did our job with them. And then it goes down through there and you can see how that totals up. And if you look at it, 25 or 0.252% of what was spent for the design contingency on there. And then scope change and owner changes on there was 1.578%. Which is still below 2% for any change orders that happen on the project, which is pretty low. That's typically, I think nationwide, it's anywhere between 5 and 7% is typically what change orders would come in at. So pretty excited about that. That's showed that everybody did the design and there wasn't a lot of things to be added to the project as far as design. So really in any of the changes, it was either an upgrade or something added to the project on there. Okay. So any questions on that piece of it?
Any questions or?
Okay, so the other one is this is an AIA and we'll need a motion on this one. This will be a change to the contract. And I did the explanation, so there's 2 pages there. This will be the AIA document G701. So it goes down through there. So our original contract sum was $10,026,969. We had $183,448.40 in change orders. Changed contract sum to $10,210,417. We, because as the CMAR, we do those cost savings on there, and we're able to do that by the way that we manage the project, the way that we wrote our bid packages, the way we hold our subcontractors accountable to the bid packages on there. We were able to give back to the county $223,351.02. It's pretty phenomenal again. So when we get to the end of it with that cost savings on there, it takes contract to $9,987,066.38. So we're very, very proud of that. We're proud of being able to save the county and the taxpayers money by going the CMAR process and doing our due diligence with the design team. So
I would make a motion then on that AIA document that Rod refers to have Chairman Franchuk sign the document as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zander to approve the final change order document. We have a second.
I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Marsh. Any other discussion?
Just got a quick question. Rod, as you're aware of the west-facing doors, we've got two rights and a left, and the left faces the northwest wind. So where does that fall in this? You know, we talk about design. I mean, that kind of falls under the design.
So, and I've had this talk with the architect, and so again, I talked to the subcontractor on that project, which was Viking Glass. We at the time of the design, as we're going through that, we brought all of these forward to the architect, saying that these should probably be switched around, but they never were. So it would really, that would be something that, if it's a design issue, that would be something that we would take up with the architects, but I don't know how far that will go.
Well, it is I mean, it is a design issue, correct? I mean, I mean, in our area, you can't design a door to swing left on a west-facing wall.
Well, so, because you see it all the time, and we try to make our recommendations to the design, right? I mean, we work for the county. The architect works for the county. We do not work for the architect. We make our recommendations, and then it's kind of up to the county and the architect to make that final decision on there. So, as per the plans and the drawings, it was installed and done as per the plans on there.
Well, exactly.
So
The
we can have that
subcontractor-
conversation with them and because, so if you look at that, the architect's gonna come back and say, well, that's errors and omissions. We've all been through that, and you as a builder have been through that with architects, right? So they can come up and say that. Now, can they pull that money out of the design contingency? Possibly, and I would imagine that would be where that money should come from. Because you're right, that door should have swung the other direction as per the employee entrance with Stark County. Again, we bring these issues to front with the architects during the design meetings, and then it's kind of up to the architect. And once we get the final set of plans, we can argue it.
Well, I know the subcontractor brought it to, I don't know if it was your attention and then you delivered the message to the architect, but the appropriate time to fix that would have been the time that we were building it, and now we're out there with an expensive fix. I mean, those doors are fairly pricey.
So, Commissioner, so the time to fix it was when it was discussed in the design meeting before we started building the building, right? That was the time to fix it, okay? Again, the subcontractor, we have had those conversations a couple of different times, but it's, the architect is the designer of the building, and that's who we're held to, right? Because we can't just go in there and start changing things arbitrarily.
Right.
We can push on it to get it done, but it doesn't always work that way. So,
Thank you.
but
So then where does this come out of then? Because I know that one shed door, one of the doors got taken off in the wind. Some door,
that's the door we're talking about right now.
Is that one?
In children's advocacy.
okay.
Is-
There was
is the-
another door too on a
Is-
shed.
No, there's no shed out there. So the front door at the main entrance for social services, that one, because of how tight those vestibules are, we're going over there to put a heavier spring in that door to make sure that it latches, because it won't latch because of the positive pressure inside of the building. Does that make sense? Okay, so the door won't come all the way latched, so you have to stand there and make sure that the door closes, right? We've been working with this and rebalancing that whole vestibule to make it work, yet all the other doors work, that door doesn't work. So that's the other door that you're probably thinking about.
Or the gate, I misspoke, the gate that goes into where all the utilities and all that. There's a swinging gate.
So the gate over there, we have some hinge issues with it, which
Yes, that's
American Fence that's on their punch list to finish up. So as soon as they're up here, and I call them on a weekly basis, and they're coming out of Sioux Falls, so they've got a long ways to travel, but they are aware of it. We don't pay them until that gets done, right? So that's how we're able to make sure that we get all these things taken care of, is we hold the purse. So you don't want to fix this, you're not getting paid. If we have to, then we'll go out and find somebody else to fix it, and we'll take that out of your contingency money, or not contingency, but your retainage money. So we do hold that purse on there, okay?
So anything that's wrong with that building right now, that is not on the taxpayers. That is still on the engineers, that's still on the builder.
So again,
I understand you have
I
a
have
thing,
no
but you got
issue-
the bid.
pardon
I mean,
me?
you got the bid, and you, I mean, there was engineers and everything else.
So we're the CMAR, right?
Yeah.
Construction manager at risk, right? We work for the county, okay? The architect
You got the
works-
bid for the county.
works, we're the same, right, so we are the CMAR,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what we're discussing right now, the cost savings, and that's where that all comes in. So, because this is a design issue, this is really would come from the JLG, and like I said, I'm here to work for the county, I will make that phone call with them, and then I will report back and let you guys know. But, and I agree with you, Neil, cause as soon as I heard it, I'm like, well, it was bound to happen, right? It was bound to happen, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, I believe we have a motion to sign this change. Is there other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was opposed? Motion carries. Okay, anything else?
And then the last one was the final pay app, and I don't know if that was in the supplementals, but we'll just need the final approval on that, which basically goes through the change order on there, reduces the contract. So when you get to the end of it, as I spoke earlier, we had $183,439 in change orders with the added in there. Gives a net change to the change order, reduces the contract by $39,902.62. Takes the total contract to $9,987,066.38. Paid to date is $9,432,584.87, which leaves a balance of $554,481.51. So that's what I would need the approval on, is to,
I didn't see that one, but.
it should have been in your
It
packet.
probably
Yeah,
was.
it's in your packet.
Okay.
So we just need the approval on that one.
Should be page 3 of your packet there.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, look for a motion to pay the current payment due.
I don't know, I kind of think we wait on this till everything is fixed with the building, with the doors and everything else, to make sure that's all covered. I think we table this till next month, until we get more answers on how everything that didn't quite go right, it gets covered with this building.
So it's, you can look at this, I guess, for a couple of ways on it. So, building's complete, building's turned over. It's a design issue, and I mean, the architects might even stand up and say, well, that's on your insurance now. I'm just saying, right? I'm trying to play the devil's advocate on this, so.
Do we know the cost to replace that mic, or Rod?
Not yet, Brad's working on it. Yeah, I
Okay.
talked to him this morning on that.
I guess my position would be, I would be in favor of paying the majority of that, but having a contingency reserve in there, and I know but it kind of incentivizes you to push the ball down the road and get it handled for us, since you're working for us.
Okay, so again, I can go back on this, but, and again, we as a company, have always stood behind and done what we needed to do at every turn of events for every single project that we've done. So this is our our retainage is basically what it boils down to. So, we're trying to
All
get these
engineers'
people paid.
reports, all the engineer reports have been signed off then? And who signed all those reports then?
Your engineering in the city. So the city signs off on everything. So the city gives us our certificate of occupancy, which you guys have a copy of, okay? Engineers come in, including your electrical, mechanical, plumbing engineers come in and sign off on it. So structural, county signs off on all those, so, or the city, I'm sorry. So the city signs off on all of that, so.
Any other discussion? What's your wishes on this? Do we approve the payment or?
Well, I'd like to see us, they have to operate their business, but we also have to reserve our rights as the owner of the property. So I'd like to see us go in the direction of pay the majority of the 554 and reserve enough to incentivize Mr. Rod to go to bat for us, and that way we can get this handled in an appropriate fashion, I guess.
You have a dollar figure they wanna put on that?
That's why I asked how much the door's gonna be. Do you have an idea of what our bill's gonna be?
I would imagine it's gonna be, because now what you're asking them to do is tear that whole vestibule apart, turn that door around and swing it the other way, because you have all the power and everything else coming in there. I'm gonna assume, because they should be able to they'll reuse all the glass. They're not gonna reuse a majority of the frames, because they'll have to refabricate it. I would imagine it's gonna be in that $30,000 range, is what I would assume by the time they get it all said and done, because it's not just as easy as going there and take it out and put it back, right? It gets pretty involved in there, and it's something that they're gonna have to tear it out and put it back the same day, because there's no other way to lock that facility, right?
Right.
So it's gonna be
Well, if we probably went in that 520 range, I'm open for discussion as far as what we would pay. That would reserve 34. That's more than enough to do the project. And then we'll figure out how to take care of it.
Is that your motion then you're making? Or?
Nobody's nodding.
'cause,
Oh, yes, I'll move that we pay 520,000 of the 554.40, 151 today, or approve that today, and then let's get some resolution on that entryway door.
I'm sorry, say that again, say that number.
520, which is 34,000 short of the full ask you're asking for today.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Zander?
Yeah, Rod, JLG, I haven't seen Zach now for maybe a month.
It's been a while, yeah. And so.
And do you have
He was gonna be here, in all fairness to JLG, he was gonna be here today. They had a death over there in their office, so he was there helping. He did have the intention of being here, but as we finish up, that will be my first phone call.
Would you coordinate a meeting with yourself, he and myself and one of the other commissioners, or the chairman, if he'd like to attend?
Okay.
Actually, you probably should put them to the buildings.
Sure,
Mr. Mess.
I'd sit down on that.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, when you mentioned errors and omissions, were you referring to Stark County?
No, I'm referring to in JLGs and all the AIA documents as per architects. and we've had these discussions before, is.
Oh, I understand. I understand. I
Is,
just
that
wanted to-
is JLG's errors and omissions, so. So if anything, they're gonna pull it out of their design contingency, it's gonna get paid for, so your design contingency final number will go down, right? And that's how it will work, so it's really not on us, it's really on JLG. We will do the work and get the work done, because the subcontractors are under our contract, but JLG, it will come out of that design contingency, so one way or the other, it's gonna get paid for.
And
Okay, on there, so if you look at that, if I were to look at that, try and explain that better, so as of right now, remaining design contingency is $317,910.05.
That's the money left of the taxpayers.
That is the money left over in the design contingency.
That's
okay?
the money left over that was that would be credited, right?
Well, because it hasn't been credited yet, have you seen the AIE document crediting that yet? Because they'll go back and goes, well, that's errors and omissions, so we're gonna take that money out of there. That's an argument that is a meeting that we will have to have with the architect, right? Okay, because, again, per the contract document, Skull has done exactly what we were contracted to do as per the construction documents. So, it's not on Skull, really, because we did do our due diligence. We did build it as per building committee, architects, as per the plans, right? We're there to manage it, put what's on the plan in place. So this is where it's gonna come from.
Yeah,
okay?
well, and I agree with you. I mean, you're our contracted provider, and we're asking you as part of that contract to go back to JLG to address this issue. But if I'm not mistaken, if there's a 317 contingency fee left, and you take it out of there, the county's paying for that. So that ain't gonna be acceptable.
So, and I'm playing the devil's advocate, because I know where they're gonna go through, they're gonna go right back to contract, they're gonna look at it, errors and omissions, and
Okay, well, that's a separate discussion.
then that would
so.
be for your state's attorney and JLG to get in the middle of,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I just know that once we head down this path to switch this door out, the subcontractor needs to be paid, okay?
Okay.
And I think that, we can look at that. So that'll be a meeting that we'll have to set up.
I think we already have, I think I went out of order. I think we already had a motion by Commissioners Zander and Marsh, so we may need to act on that one first before the one I made to pay the 520 would be acted on.
Yes, we do, you're correct.
Okay,
So I suppose we can call the question on the first one.
your motion, then I guess we go vote on that roll call vote, then on your first motion to pay the dollar amount, right, due 554 for 8151. Roll call vote. Commissioner Zander,
I,
Commissioner Marsh,
Nay.
Commissioner Arthod,
No,
Commissioner Messer.
No,
Chair votes no.
Should I read?
Now, just
Should I
go
reiterate
ahead
my
with your
motion?
motion, yes.
okay, so I'll move that we pay 520,000 of the 554, 460, 151 that is being requested for payment due, and the rest will resolve when we get the entryway issue resolved.
I'll make that second for 520,000.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
no,
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, then you'll set up that meeting then with the architect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we're a little bit on the schedule, but Vision Zero. How do you pronounce your last name? Leach, okay, okay. You just say your name for the record and who you're representing, please.
Yes. So my name is Teresa Leach. I am the Vision Zero coordinator for the Southwest region of North Dakota. I'll be taking care of 16 counties in the Southwest region. I was born and raised in Minnesota, but I went to the University of Mary and I've lived in Bismarck for 3 years now. And I graduated last spring in 2020. So motor vehicle crashes are preventable, but they remain the leading cause of injury-related deaths across the state. They are sudden, violent, and traumatic events that have lasting impact on the victim, their family, and their friends, and the communities they live in. Through the Vision Zero initiative, which is the state's strategic highway safety plan, we want to reduce the number of people we lose to motor vehicle crashes to zero. We know it is a lofty goal, but it is one we are determined to meet. There are 3 other individuals across the state doing the same thing as I am, being an advocate, educator, and support system for schools, businesses, and communities to help us get to zero. We work with those in the state, excuse me, we work with those in the state connected to education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency medical services. Topics we educate on and advocate for are seatbelt use, impaired driving, distracted driving, motorcycle safety, lane departure, speed, aggressive driving, young driver safety, vulnerable drivers, older drivers, and winter driving. I am available to assist in many ways, from education, resources, and support. I have been reaching out to schools and law enforcement across the region and will continue to do so. I will be sure to leave my contact info for you if you need anything. I can be contacted through the Contact Us tab on the Vision Zero North Dakota webpage. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions?
So, education-wise, do you work with the schools then, or how?
Yes. So I've already sent packets out to schools in the Southwest region and have been in touch with them. A couple have reached out back to me. And now that COVID is hopefully behind us, I'll be able to go into schools and give presentations next fall.
So then
And
how
that's
do you
the
work with driver's ed?
We're actually working on that right now. I'm possibly giving presentations in some driver's ed education
Driver's ed is
classes.
not part of the regular school.
Nope. Driver's ed is more during the summertime.
And how do you work with Abate of North Dakota?
Can you repeat that, please?
Abate of North Dakota, do you work with them at all?
I don't.
They do all the
motorcycles.
motorcycle education
Oh,
classes?
I see. Sorry. No, not yet. As far as I know, I haven't heard anything about that. But
So there's 3 of you in the state that are working?
there's actually 4. There's one in Minot, there's one in Grand Forks, and there's one in Fargo.
3 other people? Mm-hmm. So
And-
then you have a main person that's in charge of all of you then, or how does
Yep,
that
his
work?
name is Ryan Gellner, and he's in Fargo. He's working for the North Dakota Association of Counties.
Any other questions?
And so what do you want from us?
I'm just here to not educate, but introduce myself, and then hopefully form relationships with people in your community and in Dickinson and all throughout Stark County too. And the goal is to just get information out there to reduce traffic deaths, because it's really tragic when there is a death in anywhere. So
Is who's got the like Bismarck, Mandan, that's Bill, Morton, and which county is that?
Morton County.
Morton,
I'm based in Morton County.
Okay,
Yes.
Berkeley,
Burley.
Burley.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Oh,
Thank
and
you.
I have my business card too, so I'll pass that to you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll recess
Can
for
I
the
forward
park
this on
board.
to the Abate people?
Absolutely. Yes. Please do.
Then the park board, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait till break.
Morning, Randy.
We'll give it a minute for Carla to come back.
We had some major winter storms come through in April too, though, so. April showers bring May flowers, right?
1967. Was it on May 1st?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the April meeting of the Stark County Park Board into session. And I guess our first agenda item is to ratify the agenda, so I'd entertain a motion to ratify that.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We ratify the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now we'll go to the minutes for the last meeting. Any additions, corrections, questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 2nd, 2021.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, we'll have Lisa give her monthly report.
Good morning, Lisa Heiser, County Parks Director. Just a quick report for you. You've all got a new events listing. We've been adding like crazy to the events, so that facility is booking now during the week, as well as into April. So we start up the facility on Wednesday, tomorrow, and so that facility will be up and running. We've moved out a new entry office for events out at the facility. So that was built by our county guys and moved out there just this week, actually. So it looks like it fit perfectly in there. It is insured, and we're looking at possible COVID fund reimbursement through the county as well on that facility. Being it will separate our entrance coming into the facility and allow us to keep moving forward during the COVID seasons. I've applied for 5 different grants, Midco Foundation grant, Southwest Regional Sales Tax Grant, and the Rural Community Grant Fund, and the MDU Resources Grant, and the ConocoPhillips Grant. So I will hear back from those probably in that June to July area. Some of them are later, some are due October, so we won't hear until this winter, but those have been applied for different areas as far as parks and buildings out at the facilities, both the motorsports park as well as the fairgrounds. And that's all I really have for you. If anybody has any questions, what's been going on?
I'd like to make a comment on the building that was moved out there. It is a beautiful building. I appreciate Alan, the crew, and the hard work you put into that building. It's a huge asset for the fairgrounds, so thank you very much for doing that.
And that was Arnie Binnick's last directive towards me to get that, so it is a good thing that it went out there.
Yeah.
Have to hang his picture in there.
Yeah.
We will.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the July 23rd to the 25th, what is packing iron?
That is a barrel race. That's a big one. We brought in last year, it was the first weekend of August last year, but we brought in 3 days worth of barrel racers to the tune of about 1,100 runs through the 3 days, and so brought quite a bit to the community. And then we also, at that time, we only had 30 stalls that we had out there, and filled every stall and made a little money on the fairground side. So, yep, that was good.
Anything else for Lisa? Would you just stay at the
I will
podium
stay.
for the
Yep, yep.
next agenda item?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for your report.
Sure.
Now we'll go on to old business, and it's the property boundaries for the motorsports park, and Lisa has some information for us.
Yep. So at the last meeting, as you recall, you asked me to look into what it would be to move the building. We are encroached approximately, the motorsports park building, their storage building is about half to 3/4 on the neighbor's northern property, Shannon Dennis. And so you asked me the last time to get comparable pricing. And so I did work with Jackie Ducher with Home and Land Company to get some comparable properties, like properties, and I've shared that information with Commissioner Messer as well, just in deciphering it. So it looks to be about anywhere from that $7,000 to $10,000 an acre for a small portion acreage. And so you can see on that, I think it's page 4 on what you guys are looking at, those comparable properties in there, and there was 4 of those comparables. And so, you know, with the Tim and Lisa Dworshak portion on the western side of that, they would just prefer that we move the fencing, so we will go forward with moving that fence and put it back where it needs to be. Shannon Dennis on the northern side, he would be willing to sell us 5 acres, just depending on, you know, price-wise. And so that's what I'm requesting, that we negotiate that price and get that settled so that we can either get the building moved. I did get a quote from Zettner Construction or Zettner Moving, and it's anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 to move that building, pick it up and move it. Just as an estimate, should nothing go wrong, that's what it would be.
Where are you at with the acres? I know it was pretty high before, but where are you at on the negotiations with Mr. Dennis on the acreage?
We have not done any more negotiations. Originally, he wanted the 20,000 an acre because that's what we had paid at the fairgrounds. But he's willing to negotiate down from there. It's just what this board is willing to do, and that's why we got the comparables to see and to show him, you know, what going land prices are for that area.
Because I believe some of the acreage bought by the airport even was, what is this one? What is this these prices are about what? Did you say, Lisa? On these prices
Well,
from Jackie?
the very middle one, I guess it's section 17-139-96 on page 4. That one is 10,880 an acre. And then as you go to the right, and that's a smaller portion acreage, 32.17 acres. The next one over is 1,327 an acre for approximately 160 acres. And then on 44th Street Southwest, the 1,800, just under 1,800 an acre. That was a year ago comparison. That was April of 2020. And the others are January and March.
Commissioner Esser, is there usually with the higher amount of acreage compared to lower, does the price fluctuate with that?
Yeah, and Lisa and I have visited about this, that once you get into tracts that are, you know, less than 20 acres and especially less than 10 acres, the price per acre definitely goes up. And I would concur with Lisa's value range, that if you paid somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 or $10,000 an acre, you'd be in the market for that.
Do we need this? Is this 5 acres, is it needed for out at the Speedway? I mean, is the extra room with the 5 acres?
We would benefit from having additional acreage based on the desire to put up a building to have year-round facilities. So it would benefit us to purchase the 5 acres instead of throwing away the 10,000 or, you know, estimated $10,000 and moving up that building and taking up more parking space, because that will encroach for us onto the parking area, the planned parking area.
Okay.
Jason?
Sure.
Curious, when they surveyed the land, and is there a liability on the surveyor
So it was never surveyed. When the original landowners basically just kind of niched out a little piece of property, started this facility, and then ended up selling the facility to another entity, to that Southwest Speedway Board.
But they had to.
They didn't, it wasn't required back then to do a survey, unfortunately, until we did this survey and,
Document it with
right.
any of the county and everything?
It was not a requirement at that time to do it. So it's been this way for 20 some years. Yeah, 27 years is what they tell me it's been this way. And they had just had existing fencing, and that's why they built up to the existing fencing. Everybody assumed it was the property lines.
That question was obviously right to the party.
Yeah,
That's
no,
okay.
no, it's
That's
good.
okay.
It's a valid question.
It
And to
is.
your point, Jason, I mean, those were the accepted boundaries. So you could make that argument, we just don't think that's the right thing to do, you know? It's, let's get it right, yeah. So here's where we're at, I guess. We know that our cost is gonna be around $10,000 to fix this. So we have to decide, he's willing to sell us some extra acreage, and we have to decide what we're willing to spend to buy that extra acreage and how much it'll benefit us.
So I'm concerned from 20 to, if we go
Well,
to 7,
yeah.
if he's not gonna bend.
But we certainly aren't gonna pay him $100,000
No.
for 5 acres. We're just not gonna do that. And, we need to decide what we can afford and what is fair. What kind of money do we have available?
Well, we have $1.5 million in CDs and then another 1.3 in what we technically came in with in 2016 from the park board records. So we do have monies out there. Now those monies, that 1.3 is now into the general fund. So that's
Yeah.
where that money is at. But we do have 1.5 in CDs that we,
Is there, I know, there's a road right there on the,
a section line, yes.
yeah, so does he have access to his land?
He can,
Just
yes.
Negotiating things like, hey, we can give you access.
Nope, he has access through the section line, yes.
Yeah.
Does he have water right there?
Not up there, he doesn't. I don't believe he has any need. He runs some cattle on his property, but he's got everything set up on his side. He's more north of us.
Yeah, there's really not we're in a disadvantaged position, yeah. Because we either try to negotiate a price for that 5 acres that he's willing to sell that we can live with, or we move the building.
I know the airport land, I think when that was bought, that was at right around 6,500 an acre, when that was purchased.
How long ago was that?
Would
You
I like
bought
to,
that off Jeff Coon?
yes, yep. I would say 4,
2 to 3 years ago,
2
maybe?
to-
I
yeah.
don't know if it was that long, 4 years.
And
Could
did
be.
they do a land exchange with him too?
Well, they went out and bought another piece of land and then, for a portion of it, I believe.
yes, a portion.
And then did a swap, but they still had to pay for additional acres that were out.
So here, I guess to move this along, I would entertain a motion for a number that we want to spend for that 5 acres. Or a range. I don't want to we don't want to have a hard number here. That just kind of,
Mr. Chairman, so my question is he willing to sell less than 5? So let's say you make an offer of X amount of dollars per acre and he goes, oh, that's not enough. Would he parcel off and give us less acres at it, so that we can solve the immediate issue?
Oh, so you didn't have to move the building?
So we don't have to move the building.
Yeah.
That resolution is how many acres again? I know you told me.
It was just under 2.
yeah, like
Yep.
1.7 acres, I
Yep.
think,
Yep.
too.
And he did, the last conversation that I had with him, he wanted to do 5 or nothing. But that doesn't mean he won't renegotiate now. So, that's been a month ago that we talked, so.
Being the airport land and it wasn't that long ago, I would like to stay around the 6,500 mark, I think. anything more, then I hate to spend the 10,000 on moving the building, but I don't want to spend,
My feeling is, how about if we have a person committee, meet with Mr. Dennis and see where he's at, what he wants to offer, and see if they can negotiate something and come back with us to the following meeting, but just set a dollar amount, I don't know how you do that.
Especially in a public
Would you put that in the form of a motion?
I will. I'll make a motion that Chair, Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Messer and Lisa Heiser meet with Mr. Shannon Dennis, see if they can negotiate a price on this 5 acres.
second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Or
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Lisa.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, we now move on to new business, and that would be Joanne's Park, Decker subdivision, plat, state's attorney's findings, which you will find in your packet, or on the text message, or is it in here too?
It's in there too. It's the
Yeah.
last page. Yep.
Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to present on this as well?
Just that, our state's attorney, Amanda Engelstead, had provided a letter stating, from the last meeting that we are able to, give this back. Amanda, if you want to speak to that, you certainly are welcome to.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory in the letter that I wrote to the commissioners and the park board. Essentially, the law allows you to sell that plot back to the original donor's heirs or assignees, if they demand so for a nominal fee, because it hasn't been used for the purpose that it was deeded for a time over a year. So you're legally able to sell that back to him for a small fee.
Ms. Ingolstead, what is a small fee? I mean,
Not $1. I mean, nominal fee. It's really just a show.
So Benjamin. Yeah, okay. You know, I looked at this whole thing and I just think how bad that our county government or Stark County Park Board dropped the ball on this. We took a lot from somebody that had a value that they could have sold, and we did nothing with it. And it's laid there now for, what is it, 40-some years?
42.
42 years and not collected any real estate taxes or anything. And I think we really need to deed this back to Deckers. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we deed this back to Deckers, the value of $1.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
I got a quick question. Is there title fees and stuff when you that? Like, title fees?
Well, Ms. Engelstead could certainly generate a quitclaim deed that would deed our interest away. There would be a recording fee to record the deed. I don't know what our recommendation is in that regard.
I could amend my motion to $1 plus filing fees, if there is any.
Okay. Does the amendment need to be seconded as well? Yes.
The original.
The original.
And second person should.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay, the original motion has been amended to include the $1 plus filing fees. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, so do we have any other parcels that would be subject to this kind of are we setting a precedence here on some other stuff? Do we have other parcels, where's Lisa, that would fall under this regard?
No, we do not. The only other park property that we do own is Lakeview, and that's an established park on it. We don't have anything in subdivisions that we know of.
Okay, anything else?
Nominal fee is $1, okay?
Yeah. Anything else? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Is there any other new business that we need to attend to today? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Been brief.
Mr. Bedoin, how long is your presentation?
Should be within confined minutes. What is, I got 20 minutes or 10 minutes?
We're running behind here, so that's why I was asking, how long do you need?
I believe this is very important. I think we all need to listen up. And what I have to say, because it has to do a lot with our future, something that's very minimized in the media and very not well known, but it is very important for this region to understand our climate.
Okay. How long do you think you need?
I believe about 15 minutes, or maybe shorter. All depends how fast this presentation can go.
We're running behind here, and we have another one scheduled for 10:40, so
Okay.
I think if you wanted to go now, we'll just have to wait, we wait till later if you want more time.
Yeah, how many minutes do I got?
Probably about 5 minutes right now, I guess. So,
I don't know if I can make it in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I could try.
okay. Well, then we'll break now then, and I'll bring you in later then if you want more time, and then
Okay,
we'll
we could
br-
do it. What
we'll
time?
do a break till 10:40 now, which is our next scheduled thing. So if we take a break here now for about, I guess which clock is right here, but. Your cell phone. We'll take a 5-minute break here now, and then we'll have 10:40 on it. Yes.